your hands up, put your hands up, come on, put your hands up, are you ready?
Another week closer to the NFL draft. We are 1 month away, less than a month, I should say, as the first round begins on April 28th, all the way to April 30th. And today, we're going to be getting you guys covered with everything related to the NFL draft as we look into the top prospects that are going to have their names called in the first round. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Time2Football. Glad you guys are able to join us. My name is Hassan Khan, the host of this channel that we like to call Time2Football. Glad you guys are able to join us. Can you guys hear me? Hello. Check. All right, we're good. Hey, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I know that for you guys that are regulars on this channel, you're probably like, hey, what the heck? What happened to Wednesdays? Well, listen, like I said, and if you guys are regulars watching this podcast every week, and we've been coming out on Wednesday morning around 10 a.m., 11 a.m., that time, it's the off season, and I've said that I'm just going to try different things and see what happens. So I just thought, hey, I used to do it on Thursday nights at one point when it was a weekly format back in 2020. So let me just go back to that. Let me just see how it looks, how it sounds, and see if the viewership is any different or anything like that. But I mean, regardless, if you guys did get the notification, I came out with this scheduled event like probably 10 hours ago or something like that. So if you guys have been setting a reminder, hey, I need to jump in, cool. Appreciate you guys tuning in and join in whenever you guys can. If you guys are watching this live stream a little bit later on, I encourage you guys to go ahead and look at the timestamps on the bottom, because underneath on the bottom, we're going to have things saying like, okay, this segment we're talking about NFL news. This segment we're talking about the top 5 prospects at each position. So just skip around, man. You don't have to watch the whole thing. I don't know how long this is going to be, 40 minutes or whatever. You don't have to watch the whole thing. I don't expect you to do that. Skip around, but that's after the stream ends. I'll put timestamps in so that it makes it easier for you guys if you wanted to tune in. If you guys are new with us, I encourage you guys to subscribe to our channel, by the way. We come out with weekly podcasts all throughout the off season, and we're going to be coming out with much more content, including a documentary coming out, actually. The shirt that I'm wearing, Day One, is actually referring to Day One Sports and Entertainment. It's an agency that we work with, and there's an NFL draft prospect. We had the opportunity to interview, sit down one-on-one in person, attend their pro day, and show some footage of him. Actually, it's Shamarius Gilmore. I'll go ahead and say this. He had the most bench reps out of anyone so far. Out of anyone that has participated in the combine, participated in the pro day, he has put up 36 bench reps out of anyone in the nation. Most out of anyone. So we're creating a documentary on him. So I encourage you guys to subscribe to this channel so you guys can stay in tune with that. Also, I encourage you guys to hit us up on the podcast app. Search for us and on your iPhone. Subscribe to us on there so you guys can listen to us on the go. Just search Time2Football. We got a good audience on there, and make sure you guys rate and review the podcast as well. Throughout the duration of the show, I encourage you guys as well to comment down below and let us know your thoughts and opinions on anything going on in the show, or whatever it's going on in your life right now. As far as the NFL goes, we do have NFL news and notes that we want to talk about. So the owners and the coaches had this meeting. They have this annual spring meeting where they just discuss, hey, what are some certain rules that we could improve on to make the game better going into the future. And I think that we actually we have a photo of all the people that attended. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up that photo right here if I can. So here are all the coaches that were in attendance of that annual meeting. As you can see, there are 28 coaches. I think the ones that were missing were Bruce Arians, which we're going to be talking about in just a bit. Bill Belichick never shows up to anything. He's not even in the freaking Madden video game. And some other coaches, I forgot who it was, but let's just look around here. What are the fits here? What are the fits? Let's go. Okay, Arthur Smith. Something about his face just makes him stand out. It just makes him stand out. So he's standing out right there. John Harbaugh just agreed to a massive contract extension. Kudos to him. Matt Rule, man, you can lower your shoulders just a bit. It's okay. It's not a big deal. You can lower your shoulders. Mike Vrabel looking like a stud, swole as ever. And then you're probably like, who the heck is this guy right here? That is Nathaniel Hackett. He's the new Broncos head coach. Robert Saleh looks like he's possessed by a demon because his eyes, you can't see the white in his eyes. Man, this is the most I can zoom in. Okay, that's it. Brian Dable right here. Okay, new head coach of the New York Giants, the New York Bills, as many people will say, because he brought in a lot of Bills people with him. And then, you got your regulars. You got Dennis Allen looking sharp. Kyle Shanahan living in the year 2006 with his polo. Mike Tomlin, Sean McVay looking like a stud more than ever. 70-year-old Pete Carroll in the back, who is a big believer in Drew Lock. How about that? Ron Rivera pulling off a little Andy Reid right there. I don't know if they planned that or not, but Ron Rivera pulling off the Hawaiian shirt. Cliff Kingsbury in his bachelor pad looking fly. Man, I'm liking this. I'm digging this. I'm digging everyone. Man, Josh McDaniels, I didn't know he was that thick. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not body shaming. I'm just saying. Hey, I'm skinny. I'm a toothpick. I'm just saying. I didn't know he was that thick. That's okay. Lovie Smith, with the old Santa Claus beard. We got the see-through tank top here by Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel is such a bro. Mike McDaniel is such a freaking bro. It's amazing. Kevin Stefanski with his, very chic haircut. Frank Reich and his owner, Jim Irsay, not a believer in Carson Wentz. Crazy stuff that went down. And then you got Doug Peterson back here, styling the hairstyle that, actually, I would say this is an 80s hairstyle, but high schoolers have this hairstyle right now. Hey, high schoolers, what are you doing? Why do you guys have that hairstyle? It's not the 80s. It's like a 30-year trend. I've read about that, where like every 30 years, like something comes back in fashion. So now 30 years after the 80s, I guess, the 80s is back. Man, high schoolers, dude. High schoolers nowadays, I don't understand that. Hey, have you guys seen Euphoria, by the way? I was upstairs and went downstairs. Someone was watching it on the TV. I didn't watch. I'm not that invested in it. Which is funny because they were like, man, I hate the show Euphoria. I just watched all 2 seasons of it. Huh? Oh, so you were invested in it, but you hate it. Yeah, there's just like a scene and a compilation of like people having sex and all that stuff, and then there was like murder in that compilation too, and I was like, am I supposed to be turned on by this, or am I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel right now. But Euphoria, dude. I don't get it, man. High schoolers, dude. I know I'm probably aging myself by saying that, but even when I was in high school, I said high schoolers, dude. High schoolers are freaking weird. That was me saying that in high school, and now still to this day, 10 years later, I'm saying high schoolers, dude. High schoolers. Euphoria, dude. Listen to the weird. Still don't know my name. What the hell? What kind of song is that? Hey, no judging. No judging. And then they got, their whole crop and story time stuff and recipes for brownies on TikTok, which I don't even know what's going on. Anyways, you guys watch a football podcast to tune in about football. So let's talk about football. Let's talk about some NFL news and notes that is going on around the league as of today, March 31st, the time that we are streaming this podcast. We actually got Shadow King in the chat right now saying, are you sure you're not LMAO? Are you talking about if I'm in high school? I might be. Still don't know my name. Have intense sex like they do on that show Euphoria. NFL news and notes that's going around the league. Bobby Wagner, as of today, agreed to a 5-year, $50 million contract per Tom Pelissero of NFL Network with the LA Rams. That is huge because for the longest time, it was the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Rams that were fighting for the rights of Bobby Wagner, who was released by the Seahawks, and Wagner finally said, enough of this, I'm going to the team that is the defending Super Bowl champions and taking my talents over there. Guess what? I don't know how the heck they can pull it off with the lack of cap space, but they pulled it off. Now, Bobby Wagner is agreeing to a $50 million deal. He's 31 right now. That's going to last until he's 36 years old. Huge. Could be $65 million. Leave comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on, your opinions on Bobby Wagner. Bruce Arians has been promoted. I mean, it's his choice, I guess. front office position with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because he is stepping down from coaching. This is the second time that he has officially retired from coaching, with the first time being with the Arizona Cardinals, took a year off, then came back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to take over for Jameis Winston's I don't give a crap 30 for 30 season, 33 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. And then he got Tom Brady and won a Super Bowl with that. So now he's like, you know what? I'm not dealing with the stress right now. I'm going to relax. I'm in Tampa, Florida. I'm in Tampa, Florida, baby. That's how he sounds. Tampa, Florida. Man, Antonio Brown, get the F out of here. I don't know. What does he say? Todd Bowles has been promoted to the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defensive coordinator, and he has agreed to a 5-year contract extension. So he's going to be in Tampa Bay for a very long time. You know, in that meeting that we saw the head coaches, and I went through all the outfits that they were wearing, they actually agreed to a new change. Thank goodness. Overtime rules have been changed. Now the other way. Yeah, it's ridiculous the amount of people that were arguing against it. No, okay, let me backtrack. Everybody has an opinion. That's what makes sports so beautiful, is that like everybody has their opinion. If you agree with something, you disagree, you can chat about it. No, I think this, I think that. But then, people take it overboard and they're like, oh, you're so stupid. And they attack you personally over sports debate, which I don't, okay, I don't get that. Anyways, it's a wonderful thing that people have different opinions. And for some people, the overtime rules was one of those things like, I don't think it should change. I think it's fine the way it is. Okay, cool. Like you think that, but you have to realize or ask yourself the question, are the overtime rules fair? And if the answer is anything but no, makes no sense. Everybody's answer, even if you don't think the rules should change, everybody's answer on whether it's fair or unfair, everybody says it's unfair. Okay, if it's unfair, then change it. And that's what they did. 90% of teams were like, yep, we want to change. And only 3 teams said, nah, we don't want it. It was the Vikings and the Bengals. And then maybe it was just 2 teams. I don't know. Anyways, overtime rules have been changed to where each team now gets a possession. Thank you. That's how it should be. Well, if you didn't win, you should have won in 60 minutes. Too bad. Should have won in 60 minutes. Well, they didn't. So now it's an extra period. Don't get me started on that. There's a guy named Ethan, I don't even know, but he got into, he disagreed with my take on it. On Instagram, I created a rule when the Bills lost to the Chiefs, or reel when the Bills lost to the Chiefs. And I said that overtime rules need to change, and then he was so strong in his opinions, he actually called me a puss. Didn't put a Y at the end, just P-U-S-S. He was probably in a hurry. And he was like, you know what? I will come onto your show. I offered him to come on the show. I was like, hey, if you can tell me how the current rules are fair, I'll give you $250. Never did. Never wanted to. Man, I love my fans, by the way. I love the viewers. Jim Irsay, so he opened up about his lack of trust in Carson Wentz. That's it was kind of a shocker in the sense of Irsay being so open. Now, he didn't say it in like a mean or hateful way. He was just like, like certain things in the locker room or certain things in like the direction of like the football field and all that stuff, it just didn't work out. I don't think he hates Carson Wentz. I think he just realized like early on it's not going to work out, so I'm just going to move on. And Matt Ryan's quite the upgrade. And if you tuned in last week and you saw our podcast, we were like, the Colts going from Matt Ryan to Carson Wentz wasn't like they upgraded a quarterback, and they gained an extra draft pick out of that, essentially, like the 3-way trade. So the Colts won at the end. The Saints agreed to a 1-year deal with Andy Dalton. Dalton is going to be backing up Jameis Winston, which, by the way, if you guys are just now tuning in, we're going through NFL news and notes currently. So I encourage you guys to subscribe and stay tuned with all these news. John Harbaugh has signed a contract extension for 3 years. We're just now touch base on that. kind of touch base on that. Or yeah, touch base. How many times can I say touch base? How many times can you say touch base, Hassan? The Patriots signed Jabril Peppers to a 1-year deal. The former Browns and Giants safety is going to New England. Very talented uh, safety, defensive back. Former first-round pick. I believe in Jabril Peppers. I really do. Aaron Donald will return in 2022. That's confirmed by Sean McVay. Taysom Hill will focus on playing tight end in 2022. This is per Dennis Allen, the new head coach. After signing Andy Dalton to a 1-year deal, Jameis Winston bringing him back to a 2-year, $28 million deal. There's no room really much for a QB3, I guess. So they really want to put his attention towards the tight end position, which it's been a need for probably some time right now. So you got Adam Trotman, you got Nick Vannett, and then you got Taysom Hill in that tight end room. I think Juwan Johnson is a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. He might still be with the Saints. I'm not sure. But anyways, whether Taysom Hill is going to be a tight end 1, I don't know. But if he is a tight end 1, they're going to use him primarily as a receiver. And then you know that he's going to work in his wildcat, quarterback, rushing package, whatever it may be, to the point where, like, hey, if you play fantasy football, he could be a cheat code in fantasy football. He really could. Like the rushing yards that he might get, plus on top of that, maybe 3 receptions for 30 yards. Like, I think that's going to be a decent tight end numbers. So leave your thoughts and your opinions down below. I'd really love to hear, what do you think of Taysom Hill potentially playing tight end for the New Orleans Saints? Do you think he's going to be good enough to be like an impact player for that team? Or do you think it's really about, hey, we just signed him to a big contract, we just want to find something for him to do? So let me know your thoughts and your opinions. And do you think that this is a good idea by Dennis Allen and the Saints? Jimmy Garoppolo. So you probably have been wondering what the heck is going on with him. Why hasn't he been traded with them? Moving on forward with Trey Lance. Well, the thing is, the shoulder surgery that Jimmy Garoppolo has, when he initially got it, it put him out of action for 16 weeks. That is 4 months. And that kind of delayed the process of Jimmy G getting traded to a team. Now, the Panthers are still out there. The Seattle is still out there. You could say Houston. I think they're okay with Davis Mills. So there are some teams out there that could trade for him. However, they are kind of cautious of this just because of the shoulder surgery of Jimmy Garoppolo. Where do you think Jimmy Garoppolo can land? And do you think that he's going to be traded maybe before the draft? Because at this point, what it's leaning towards is like the Seahawks, the Panthers, those teams realistically look like they're going to be drafting quarterbacks. And then if that happens, Jimmy G is just going to be left high and dry. And it's like, okay, well, he's returning to San Francisco. Is he going to be the starter? Leave your thoughts and your opinions. I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, so new changes that they made during that coaches and owners meeting. All teams must add a minority assistant, whether it be a female or a person of color, onto an offensive position on the staff for 2022. Hey, if you want to hear my opinion on it, too bad. Go watch First Take. I'm sure Stephen A. Smith is saying something beautiful about it. Something not beautiful about it. Whatever it may be. LeBron! Hey, I'm watching a sports show to watch sports. Not anything outside of sports. But if you're into that, go watch First Take. Comes on tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, ESPN. Check it out. Yeah, I'm not getting into political stuff or sensitive topics like that. Kansas City will host the NFL Draft in 2023. Detroit will host in 2024. The Bills have been approved for a $1 billion towards a new stadium. Will it have a roof? Or will we magically see the snow continue to fall into Orchard Park? I'm very curious about the stadium project. I think it's 2026 is the target date that they want to get the stadium built. But we will see if it has a roof or not. I know that MetLife Stadium, when it was built, they had the opportunity to build a roof, and they decided to go against that. So I think the Bills, just for the tradition aspect of it being in Buffalo and it being known for being very, very cold, might not go with the option of having a roof. And then finally, Patrick Peterson is back. Signed a 1-year deal with the Minnesota Vikings to return. Come on back and help us out in this secondary. That is your NFL news and notes for today. All right, now after 20 minutes of rambling and talking about nothing, let's go ahead and talk about what you guys clicked on this video to talk about. And that was the draft rankings, I would say, or the best draft prospects, because now we're transitioning. We've been talking about free agency for the past month of March, and now we're transitioning as we're going into April, NFL draft, and getting you guys covered on that. I'm still in the process of confirming when we can do a mock draft. I believe we can do it Monday. Michael Watson is a person, if you guys are familiar with Time2Football, he comes on to here. He's our draft analyst because he watches a lot of college football. He's very knowledgeable on it. He knows a lot about the players. He's going to be coming on to the show, and we're going to be doing a mock draft. And then hopefully, like during the NFL draft, he can join us for our draft live stream that we've been doing for the last 3 years. But Michael Watson, we're going to be waiting for him and getting a mock draft out, hopefully by next week for our episode of Time2Football. But what we wanted to do today is show you the top 5 draft prospects at each position. Now, here's the thing, and here's the beautiful thing about mock drafts. Everybody has an opinion, and that's okay. That's okay. I see people come out with mock drafts and then comments about those mock drafts saying, this is stupid. You should be fired. What the hell are you talking about? You don't know anything about football. And guess what? It hasn't happened yet. Oh my gosh, you're getting upset over an opinion and saying that something is wrong when it hasn't happened yet. Tell me what a right mock draft is. There is no such thing. You can have a disagreement like, no, I don't think the Panthers are going to draft this guy. I think they're instead going to draft this guy. You can say that, but then people get so, I don't know, upset in the comments. And then, anyways, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to get rid of the bias because everybody looks at mock drafts and creates rankings based off of what scouts are saying. They don't do the research themselves, which I don't understand. So I'm going to instead, what I did with the positional rankings is I looked at all the major draft analysts out there. I looked at Todd McShay is his name of ESPN and Mel Kiper of ESPN. And then on the NFL.com side, I looked at Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks. I also looked at some CBS draft analysts as well. And all those guys, because those guys are like very knowledgeable. They do their own scouting. They don't look at anybody else's opinion. They do their own scouting. So I was saying, okay, where do they have their players ranked? What are their rankings? And I took a consensus and I took an overall average of which players rank where. So when you see these rankings, these are based off of draft analysts. This isn't my opinion. This is draft analysts. What are the majority of the scouts and the analysts saying are the top 5 players at each position? So let me go ahead and show you the quarterbacks to start off. The top QB prospects, let's start from the bottom, and now we're here. Go to the top. So to start off, we've got Desmond Ridder and Sam Howell tying at number 4. This is based off of, again, like, I think Daniel Jeremiah is like very high on Sam Howell, and I think Mel Kiper is higher on Desmond Ridder. Don't quote me on that, but I like some analysts have like Ridder higher, some guys have Howell higher. But for the most part, I'm going to say that, or I looked into it and it was just like dead even. It was tied. So I'm just going to say tied at 4 is Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati and Sam Howell from UNC. But number 3 is Matt Corral. Some guys even have Matt Corral as their number 1 quarterback in the NFL draft this year. But I think he had an injury that kind of slowed him down, so he kind of dropped in some people's rankings. Number 2 is Malik Willis. Some people are saying that he could be the number 1 prospect. And I wouldn't be surprised if he is drafted over Kenny Pickett to be the first quarterback taken off the board. But at number 1, we do have Kenny Pickett. Again, it's this hand size. But, a lot of people are big on Kenny Pickett, so I'm going to go ahead and stick with Kenny Pickett being the number 1 guy, according to Draft Analyst. Now looking at running back prospects. James Cook from UGA is ranked at number 5, the brother of Dalvin Cook. Kyron Williams as well is ranked in the top 5. He's from Notre Dame. Isaiah Spiller, no relation to CJ Spiller, the Texas A&M back. He is ranked at number 3. And again, this is, if you guys are just now tuning in, this is based off the consensus of all the major draft analysts out there. This is not my opinion. This is based off of what the other scouts and the analysts are saying. Number 2 is Kenneth Walker. Some people have Kenneth Walker as their number 1 back in this draft, but I think the majority of the people, when I was doing some research, saw that Breece Hall had was the number 1 back in this class. Now, I will mention that a lot of these running backs in mock drafts are not drafted in the first round. I'll just go ahead and say that. I think it's been the trend for the last couple of years that running backs are just not drafted that high. So these guys could be second-round picks and beyond that, but the first round, it's not looking pretty for them. The top wide receiver prospects, according to the analysts out there, Treylon Burks is going to be at number 5 from Arkansas. Chris Olave, who had a pretty good combine this past February, he's the wide receiver 2 for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Jamison Williams. Okay, so I've been seeing him after he tore his ACL in that Alabama championship game against UGA. He's been training on the side. He's been getting ready, getting prepared, and running as well. Some people are saying that by the time the draft comes around, Jameson Williams is going to be running. I don't know if he's going to be running full speed just yet, but that essentially could make his draft stock go higher. I know that in mock drafts right now, he's getting drafted in like the 20s. I know that the Bills are like a favorite spot for him to go to. But yeah, Jameson Williams, I would not be surprised if he sneaks inside of the top 15. Drake London from USC is also a big name prospect. Some people say that he's going to be the number 1 guy. But then you've also got Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver 1 for the Ohio State Buckeyes, not Buckeyes, but guys, golly. This is a football podcast, nothing more than that. So Garrett Wilson, Ohio State Buckeyes, number 1 receiver in the NFL draft. Now, tight end prospects, these guys, again, just like running backs, are not going to be drafted in the first round. There's not really a big name tight end out there. However, you never know. Like, a lot of good tight ends have been drafted in the second round. Most recently, Mike Gesicki, Dallas Goedert as well. But starting at number 5, Jelani Woods, he's a tight end for Virginia. Jalen Weidermeyer, Texas A&M. Jeremy Ruckert, part of that big passing offense in Ohio State. Greg Dulcich at UCLA. And then at number 1 is Trey McBride, who had actually a pretty good pro day, I will mention, this past week. He plays for Colorado State. He's probably going to be the number 1 tight end taken off the board. I think when I looked at all these draft analysts, Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, Mel Kiper, all these guys, it was consensus number 1 tight end, Trey McBride. It was nobody else ranked ahead of him. So Trey McBride is the number 1 top tight end prospect. The top offensive line prospects, and now this is based off of this is interior linemen and offensive tackles. I know some people like to split them up, but I wanted to kind of put them together. So Kenyon Green, he's an interior offensive lineman. He's ranked at number 5. Tyler Linderbaum is ranked at number 4 from Iowa. Charles Cross, now we get into the 3 top tackles in the draft. Charles Cross, some people in their mock drafts even have Charles Cross being taken inside of the top 10. So it's going to be tackle heavy in this draft because of Ike Ekwonu and Evan Neal ranking at number 2 and number 1 respectively. It was very close. It was very close to the point where like it was just like a smidge. I think it was just like one analyst that made the difference on whether Evan Neal was going to be ranked higher or who was going to be ranked as a top offensive tackle. But it came down to Evan Neal being the number 1 prospect in this draft. And some people are even saying, like, hey, maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars might want to go down the route of taking an offensive tackle. I don't know if it's going to happen. I would assume that they take Aiden Hutchinson after going so offensive heavy in free agency, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, these offensive line prospects, I would not be surprised if all 5 are taken in the first round in the 2022 draft. The top edge prospects, and these are outside linebackers and defensive ends. So starting at number 5, by the way, if I mispronounce any of these names, I apologize. I'm just trying my best. George Karlaftis, I'm going to say is his name. He's from Purdue, I believe. And then you've got Jermaine Johnson from Florida State. He is ranked inside of the top 32 for a lot of people, so he's expected to be a first-round pick for a team that needs an edge rusher. Trayvon Walker had a very good combine, and this is when he came onto the scene, was really doing the combine because he was being talked about being a first-round pick. But then now people are saying, like, okay, maybe Trayvon Walker could be like a top 5 pick. I know that the New York Giants is one of those teams that a lot of mock drafts have Trayvon Walker going to the New York Giants. But Kayvon Thibodeau as well. Like, for the longest time, and listen, I don't watch a lot of college football, but I've watched enough college football to see that Kayvon Thibodeau was the truth. And I believe throughout the whole season, like, hey, Thibodeau is going to be the number 1 overall pick. That's what I believe. And now people are saying, like, okay, well, maybe he's got some flaws, got some holes he needs to fix. I think Kayvon Thibodeau is going to fall outside of the top 5. I think that he's going to fall barely inside of the top 10. So that's what a lot of people are saying. And then Aiden Hutchinson is ranked as the number 1 tight end. I think the only people that ranked Kayvon Thibodeau higher than Hutchinson was someone from CBS. I don't know the name, but it was someone from CBS. But other than that, everybody else liked Aiden Hutchinson more. The top defensive tackle prospects. Travis Jones ranks at number 5 from Connecticut. DeMarvin Leal from Texas A&M ranking at number 4. Number 3, Logan Hall from Houston. Devontae Wyatt and Jordan Davis from UGA, the Georgia boys that was responsible for that championship team, that championship defense, I should say, are ranked number 2 and number 1. So it's going to be pretty evident that the defensive tackles that are going to make a difference in the first round are going to be coming from Georgia. I don't know if Logan Hall, DeMarvin Leal, or Travis Jones will be drafted. I know for sure Jordan Davis more than likely will be drafted in the first round. Devontae Wyatt, we're going to have to wait and see if he's going to be a first rounder, but these are the top defensive tackle prospects in this draft. Devin Lloyd ranks as the number 1 linebacker prospects, but if we're trying going from number 5 up to number 1, Chad Muma, if I'm not pronouncing that incorrectly, from Wyoming. At number 5, Christian Harris from Alabama. Number 4, another UGA stud, and Quay Walker. And Nakobe Dean as well, another UGA talent as well. The Georgia boys working at number 3 and number 2. And then at number 1, it is Devin Lloyd from Utah. I don't think I saw a single analyst that had, I don't know, maybe I saw 2 that had Nakobe Dean ranked higher than Devin Lloyd. But they were outweighed by everybody else saying, no, Devin Lloyd is the best linebacker prospect. Hey, parents, if you want your child to be a linebacker in the NFL, just name him Devin. Like an elite linebacker. Devin White, Devin Bush, Devin Lloyd. Great name. Top cornerback prospects, according to analysts, Roger McCreary. And actually, he was pretty high up by Bucky Brooks as well. Bucky Brooks really likes him from Auburn. He's going to be a good cornerback in the NFL draft. Trent McDuffie, who had a pretty good pro day. I think his vertical, if you guys have not seen his vertical, go to Twitter, go to YouTube, whatever it may be. Trent McDuffie looked very, very good. Andrew Booth. Okay, so my high school alma mater. So I went to a high school that was, it opened up while I was in high school. So it's only been around for 10 years. And no one that played football there went to the NFL. There was some people that went to like college football, like some Division I schools, but nobody made it to the NFL. And now Archer High School, which is just down the road from us, is going to have its first NFL prospect being drafted. Not only being drafted, but being drafted in the first round, people are saying. The cornerback Andrew Booth from good old Tequila, Georgia, is going to be a cornerback in the NFL, more than likely going to be drafted in the first round. Derek Stingley, great freshman year, and then just after that, he just kind of, was just a little bit too inconsistent, so he loses his top spot in the quarterback rankings, and now Ahmad Gardner, or Sauce Gardner, as people like to call him, from Cincinnati, that big 6'3" frame. It could be the next Richard Sherman. Could be his pro comparison. I haven't seen a lot about that, but Richard Sherman is known as a tall cornerback as well. Could be dominant in the NFL. The safety prospects. Lewis Kine, is it Kine or Sign from UGA? I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to butcher these last names, so I apologize for that. Jalen Petrie, like a Petri dish? Peter? Sorry, guys. Sorry. This shows you how much I watch college football. From Baylor. He's in the top 5. Jaquan Brisker from Penn State is ranked at number 3. Dax Hill at number 2. And then number 1, Kyle Hamilton, alongside, you know what? I think, if I'm not mistaken, he might be the only player that is the consensus number 1. Yes, out of all positions. Oh, okay, outside of Trey McBride. So Trey McBride and Kyle Hamilton, all across the board, all analysts, no debate at all, are saying that they are the number 1 players at their position. Kyle Hamilton, even by CBS, is ranked as the number 1 player in the draft. Out of everyone, think about that. Out of Aiden Hutchinson, out of Kayvon Thibodeau, CBS is saying that Kyle Hamilton is the number 1 player. You leave your thoughts down below. Do you believe that he's better than Aiden Hutchinson, whoever it may be? But yeah, these are the top 5 prospects for each position. So if you miss any of this, I encourage you guys to go back and pause the video so you guys can read up on it. And I'd encourage you guys to leave your comments as well so that we can have a debate and know who your top prospects are at each position. But that's pretty much going to do it for this episode of Time to Football, unless you guys have something else to say. But yeah, I encourage you guys again to subscribe to this channel and subscribe to us on the podcast app as well. I know that a lot of people listen to us on the go as it is already, but if you haven't picked that up, you don't have to watch a 40-minute long video. You can go ahead and subscribe to us on the podcast app, and then we'd love to interact with you guys as well on this YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already subscribed. We'd love to hear your opinions and your thoughts as well. With all that said, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Time to Football. And remember, still the number.